Okay, hello everybody. Today we are going to be reviewing The Lost World Jurassic Park. So this is the second film in the original trilogy, and I wouldn't really say it was as good as the first one, that's for sure. Still had its moments, but it kind of felt a little bit staler than the first one because it felt like it was trying to be the first film in a sense, I guess. But in its own kind of direction, I guess they were kind of taking out the old and bringing in the new generation, I suppose, is maybe what their thought was on this. Jeff Goldblum did have a bigger part in this. He became a more more of a main character than I guess a real. I mean, he was kind of in the forefront of the first film, but I wouldn't really say he was the main focus of the film. Obviously, he was kind of just a secondary character that was there. But in this one, we know that the doctor, or God, why can't I think of his name? We know that John Hammond is trying to bring a team together again to go to this Site B now that we had no idea about in the first film. So I guess in Site B they would, I guess, raise the animals up into a certain age, and then they would bring them over to the park, and then they would, I guess, further keep watch of them there. So unfortunately, at the beginning of the movie, there's this family that stumbles upon the Site B island, I guess, and now InGen is being taken over by this by somebody else, and I guess Hammond wants to prove that these creatures can live on their own without any supervision. So he wants to send a team in to observe the animals, take photos, so on and so forth, to say that they are living in their own habitat, and I guess life will just go on. They'll be on the island, and we'll be where we are, right? You know, we can kind of, I guess, in a sense, coexist, because that's kind of maybe what he would have wanted. But I guess coexisting is kind of different when obviously dinosaurs are in one place and we're in a totally different place, right? So we're not really coexisting. We just kind of know about it, but nobody really talks about it, I guess, is maybe what he was kind of going for. But he ends up sending. He ends up sending Ian Malcolm's girlfriend, who's played by Julianne Moore, Sarah Harding, to the island on her own ahead of everybody else. So the team he set up is Vince Vaughn, who plays Nick Owen, and then I believe the guy who took over was Peter Ludlow, played by Arliss Howard, who was taking over InGen in order to actually capture some of the dinosaurs and bring them back to San Diego, I guess, to open a park there for people. And holy crap, does that plan backfire on them. We also had the velociraptors back in this film, as well as these other little green dinosaurs that I thought they were velociraptors at the very opening scene, where actually, and I recognized the girl. I was like, oh my god, is that Camilla Bell in the opening scene of the movie? And it is, but she doesn't even make it past the opening credits. So again, somebody dies before the opening credits of the film, which seems to kind of be a theme with these films. I can't remember if anybody dies before the opening credits of the third one, but I guess I'm going to find out because I'm going to watch it next now. So anyway, obviously Hammond sends oh my god, Ian's girlfriend Sarah to the island on her own, and then obviously Nick and there was one other person with them. Nick Eddie, played by Richard Schiff. Eddie Carr was his name. So the team of Eddie, Nick, Sarah, and Ian are now on the island, as well as his daughter who sneaks on. And his daughter's name was... Where's his daughter? Oh, right. His daughter's name was Kelly, played by Vanessa Chester, Kelly Curtis. So she had snuck onto the island, and we do actually get to see a small scene with the two kids, Lex and Tim. So I feel like Steven Spielberg always did a little bit of foreshadowing in his films, because I forgot to mention this at the end of the first one. There are these birds flying away from the island, and Grant is kind of watching them fly away. And then at the end of the second movie, we get introduced to the pterodactyls. One of them lands on a tree. So I feel like there's always a little Easter egg foreshadowing kind of in his films. And obviously putting the kids back in the film, it's kind of foreshadowing for the third film, I guess, because I know they are back in this one. And I know Grant comes back, so they were trying to keep some of it alive, I suppose. Because I think after the first film, he obviously knew these were going to do well. Now, would I say this was as spectacular as the first film? No, because you kind of see, obviously, a bit of the advancements in the CGI, I guess, and computer graphics. So I think that took away a little bit from the spectacle, just because, obviously, we're 4 years further ahead, right? And then, again, the third film didn't come out till 2001, so we were already 4 years ahead by that point again too. But I think that was kind of important for the third film, just because there was so much, if I'm remembering correctly, there was so much with the pterodactyls in that film that I don't think it would have been really hard if these films had come out earlier. And you were think about if the third one had to come out in 1991 and the other two had been in the 1980s, how much different that would have been. So yeah, just imagine, because think about if the first one had came out in 1981, and then 1987, and then 1991. Think about that timeline, and then think about how much different it would have been. I honestly don't think we would have ever probably gotten 3 films, to be completely honest, if they had have done it that way around, if it had come out so early. I think the 90s was a perfect time to kind of do it, because I don't think nothing was really being done dinosaur creature wise in the 90s. So yeah, it's kind of an out what's the word I'm looking for? They were definitely oh god, I can't think of the word. Can't think of the word. They were definitely standout films, is what I'm trying to say, but I can't think of the actual word I'm looking for. Anyhow, so the one team is trying to capture the dinosaurs, and the other team is trying to make sure that they stay on the island. So the other team is led by this man named Ronald Tembo. So I'm just going to call him Ron for the sake of this. But he's obviously working with the other guy who's trying to take over Peter. And there's a lot of names in this film. And then one of the guys that I noticed or recognized was the one Dieter Stark guy, who was kind of like a little bit on the evilish side, I guess, like really bugging the dinosaurs and all that. And then he gets his just due anyway in the end by getting eaten by all the little green ones. But I can't remember what the names of them are. And there was the Triceratops. There was the dinosaur with the hardtop head. The one that they described as looking like Elvis. But I'd actually have to look up what each dinosaur was in this Jurassic Park world, because there was a lot of them in this movie. Yeah, we get introduced to more and more, it seems, every movie, because obviously, if they're living on their own, you're going to be able to breed new species, I suppose. So, kind of interesting for sure. What else can I really say about this movie? I guess one of the more iconic scenes in this movie was kind of with the T-Rex, where it's after, like, the mother and the father are after the baby, even though the baby is hurt. And then, obviously, when Ron ends up tranking the T-Rex and they end up taking it on the boat. But then when the boat is coming in to reveal the dinosaur in San Diego, it's eaten everybody on the boat, and the boat just crashes into the dock. and then the dinosaur gets released out in the middle of San Diego, and they have to end up trying to, they have to take the baby and run the T-Rex all around the city, and then back to the boat, and then it is, I believe it probably goes back to the island, is what I'm guessing, because the last shot in the movie is on the island again with the pterodactyl landing on the branch, and you can see all the other ones in the background. So yeah, really cool. So yeah, it was definitely foreshadowing for the third film. I don't really think there's much more I can touch on other than that. I think I've basically kind of gone through all the really, like, cool scenes and stuff. Obviously some of this, I think this movie might have been released in 3D. It's kind of what I'm thinking, because some of the scenes kind of seem that way, especially where they're, like, hanging on the rope in between the two trailers that they had set up. And the trailer just kind of, like, falls around them, and then everything blows up, and the tires and stuff is kind of, like, flying up at them. So I'm kind of wondering if this was meant or was in 3D when it came out, because I guess 3D technology probably would have been around by then, wouldn't it have? Like, when did the first, I think the real first 3D breakthrough movie that I remember seeing was probably Spy Kids 3D, but I can't remember what year that even came out. So but yeah, it would be interesting to actually look and see if this one was ever released in 3D, because I think that would be kind of cool. But anyhow, yeah, I think that's it for this review, other than my, obviously, rating. So I gave this an 8 out of 10, compared to the IMDb score, which seems very, very low. They only gave it a 6.5, so that seems awfully low to me. But, yeah, anyway. I hope I've touched on everything that I possibly can for this film. These ones seem to be shorter. I thought I would have been talking about this longer, but I guess they're kind of, even though they're long movies, they're kind of one of those movies that is just more for the iconic scenes, and there's like a little bit of story behind it, I guess, as opposed to everything. But yeah, obviously this ended up being a rescue mission from the island kind of gone wrong, and obviously Hammond is just making new mistakes, like what Ian told him at the beginning of the film. Yeah, none of this should have been ever created, that's for sure. So now I'm going to watch the third one. I believe the third one was honestly my favorite out of all three. Just because pterodactyls were one of my favorite dinosaurs when I was a kid. So I guess I'm kind of being biased when it comes to that sort of stuff, a little bit. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.